We're also talking about drinks at Manifesto. So are you ready for a daiquiri that is limeless, everyone? We're going to show you how to do that. And there's also a popsicle. And we're going to show you 2 different ways to use whiskey. And your spoiler alert, do not call the fire department.
All right, there's more ways than one to use whiskey. Anyway, we'll talk more about that, and also some gardening tips from the dirt that's coming up as well today.
So if you're looking for a drink and a show, Manifesto Speakeasy in the Crossroads has you covered.
USA Today named it one of 10 great places to have a drink underground.
So I went there to check out 3 different drinks. The first is a Campfire, a redefined old-fashioned. You'll see where the name comes from in a minute.
So this is a riff on an old-fashioned. It's not a traditional recipe. There's not a whole lot traditionally that we like to do down here. So I'm gonna use one of my favorite spirits and locally made J. Rieger Kansas City whiskey. Get an ounce of that in there. And then I'm going to put an American apple brandy. This is actually a little overproof, so it's very, very strong. We're gonna do an ounce of that as well. So we have our spirit in here. We need something to balance it, make it a little more palatable for most people. So we're gonna do a tiny little bit of vanilla syrup.
Vanilla, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Make sure that that flavor doesn't come out too strong with the whiskey.
And a tiny little bit of a house cinnamon syrup.
Okay.
Add that right to it, and just a little bit of Angostura aromatic bitters for balance.
Now, Jay, let's talk about why do you pick this as a drink to show people?
We like really interactive experiences and memorable things. So while we do have a pretty substantial menu, if you don't see anything you like on it, we'd be happy to, create an experience for you. We want it to be a very memorable situation.
So one thing he was telling me is even though they've got this large menu, they actually switch it out several different times and they don't like to repeat cocktails.
Yeah, so our seasonal side of the menu changes 5 times a year, and our classic side, which is another 12 drinks, we'll rotate classics that we've had on hand for years. We usually don't like to repeat ourselves. If something's so popular on the seasonal, we'll put it on the classics. What makes this old-fashioned a little different is we're going to add a little depth of flavor and character to it. We're actually going to smoke it.
Well, whenever you get a machine out like that, something's going to happen, guys.
So I have a little cherry wood and a little apple wood in here and a little smoking gun. I'm just going to fill our wine decanter with smoke. Turn that off. It's probably enough.
Full-on science experiment going on.
And then we're going to strain off our cocktail into this so it interacts with the smoke. And if you would, could you just give that a few swirls for me to incorporate it?
This is making all my Bill Nye dreams come true.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a science experiment going on, and just pour that slowly over the rock, and the cocktail would be finished.
You can sort of see the smoke just coming out.
It should roll out and fill the glass as well. And so usually I'd let the customer do this themselves, and they can experience it and get the full sensation of the smoke would fill the space around them before they enjoy the cocktail.
All right.
And that's it. That's our smoked whiskey and apple brandy old fashioned.
Well, believe it or not, they actually turned the lights up for that. Normally in that, it is completely dark. Now get ready for a sweet sip this summer. Drink number 2 is a daiquiri that's made without a lime, taking a nod to sustainability. Welcome back to Better Kansas City. So Manifesto Speakeasy in the Crossroads is celebrating its 10th anniversary. Now, when the owner opened its doors back in '09, people told him that to open up a speakeasy and use no marketing was crazy. Well, now it's turning its eye towards sustainability with a very unique daiquiri. Joining me is General Manager Jay, who's going to talk about how he came up with that recipe.
Sure. All we're going to do is we're going to modify and dissect a traditional daiquiri, which is, we know is a cocktail that has 3 ingredients, rum, sugar, and lime juice. But we're going to omit and add some things of our own. So let's get started. Instead of lime juice, we're going to add a citric, malic, and phosphoric acid solution to mimic it and add the dryness and acidity that lime juice would.
And you were kind of talking to me about this. I was like, how do you mimic lime juice? It's not coming from lime, it's not getting shipped across the country. How do you do that right here?
Lime juice is primarily citric acid, which is what you taste in lemons, and malic acid, which gives a bitterness that you find in limes. So, and then phosphoric acid adds a little bit of effervescence and body to it to get it together. So we're basically making our own lime juice without having to ship limes across the country. And then we just dissolve that into water with a little bit of salt for balance. And that's really it. So I have my fake lime juice, the citric, malic, and phosphoric acid in here with white rum and sugar. And that is our whole cocktail, super simple. When we shake it and when we strain it into the drink, it won't have the usual cloudiness that you get from a lemon or lime juice in your cocktail because it doesn't have the particles that are in lime juice that give it. So I'm gonna give this a shake real quick.
Okay. Whenever I do it, it tends to get stuck.
It's all about where you hit it. If you get it right on the corner, it should come right off. So make sure that none is left in the top shaker. I will get our glass. So every part of this is a measurement of a traditional daiquiri, just done in a non-traditional way. I'm gonna strain that off. I don't want any extra ice chips.
Why is this such a popular summer and spring drink choice?
It's just so refreshing and light and very secretly boozy at the same time. So people will get a good time from it without having to suffer through it like you would, a whiskey neat or something like that. And we are just gonna garnish this, give it a little bit of our own spin with a green chartreuse and kiwi popsicle. So a French liqueur with kiwi, and that's it. Served just like that. As this melts, it will change the flavor of the cocktail.
This is beautiful, and I think anybody would just be delighted really to have that popsicle on a hot summer day or
Absolutely.
maybe coming in the springtime. So I'm gonna give this a try. This really tastes like lime with being limeless.
Exactly. That's definitely the goal of ours, so thank you very much. Yeah.
So one of the ingredients in there, green chartreuse, is actually made in northern France, and it's guarded by monks that have taken a vow of silence, so no one knows the secret ingredients. In the next half an hour, we are going to show you that a drink is on fire, and I'm talking about smoke and flame, so no one call 911. Welcome back. So Manifesto was the first craft cocktail bar in Kansas City. It opened up 10 years ago when the recession was in full swing.
Yeah, and you actually found out the owner was told he was crazy to open a bar in the basement without marketing, right?
Yeah. And the Speakeasy is a crowd favorite in town. Here's a look at the first cocktail they ever served.
We're gonna take fresh oranges, rub them on the inside of the glass because we're gonna be adding sugar to it. More importantly, you're gonna be adding sugar to it.
He told me only a quarter teaspoon or
Just
so.
about half of that spoon would get you where you wanna go. So we're gonna get the inside of the glass and the oranges. Perfect. We're actually gonna brulee this. And what we're gonna use for our heating element is actually Angostura Bitters, which is something that you'll find in Manhattans and Old Fashions. Every bar in the world should have a bottle of Angostura Bitters in it. So it's an overproof spirit that's been infused with herbs and botanicals, giving it different flavors. So dozens and dozens of different herbs and spices, cinnamon, clove, allspice, nutmeg, stuff like that, that will help bind like flavors and ingredients.
Okay.
So we're gonna use a match here, and then we're just gonna roast it. So the oranges and sugar in the bottom, we're gonna roast, we're gonna caramelize, but we're also gonna be adding the flavor of the bitters to it and burning off the alcohol. So we're leaving a lot of cinnamon, clove, allspice, the aforementioned flavors in it.
We're also not calling a fire department, apparently.
No, yeah, that would be against what we were trying to do. So got those bruleed. They're gonna be a little soft, and you'll see the bitters have collected on the bottom. So now all we're gonna do is add lemon juice.
And one thing I want to touch on is how filled the air is with that scent of orange.
Right, and the thing is, we don't usually have lights on either. So when that happens, everyone in the room turns and looks at it, and then everyone starts to be like, it smells like Christmas. It's like someone's baking. So pomegranate and then a bonded whiskey inside of it.
And this is why you kept it on the menu so long.
Oh, absolutely. And it's absolutely fantastic. It's a timeless cocktail with a wonderful presentation. The rest out of our glass, and then get our nice chilled cocktail glass. And we're gonna strain it. We don't want any little orange bits popping up in there.
That color is so rich.
Right, a lot of that actually comes from the pomegranate and the bitters itself that were inside of it. So we present, this is the Ward and Precinct cocktail, the longest running drink on our menu.
Well, this is beautiful, and we could definitely cheers a glass to this. And the other thing we want to talk about, this basement is just so amazing, and you guys literally do not usually have lights on.
This is probably the brightest it's been in the 10 years of Manifesto. It's only candle lit. We don't allow flashlights. We'll bring big candles around for people that need to read the menus, but provides a very intimate and close experience for people.
Well, Bill, my first drink that we actually shot when we were there, it had a popsicle in it, right? And the last two a little bit stronger because they had whiskey. I like the popsicle a little bit more.
Belinda didn't drive home from that one.
No. So you actually text your reservation to find your way through an alley, or you can walk into the basement through a door in the Rieger.
Wow. So this is, I've always wanted to try this place out, and this is the one place I haven't been able to check out yet in town, but it looks really cool. But like you said, it's below the Rieger in the basement there, and very dark and very kind of like,
It's intimate. It's fun.
Very neat to try out. So I have to definitely check it out soon.